So in this case, what we have is, again, now we only have one angle, all right? But that one angle is at least an acute angle, okay? So now what we need to do in this case is we can go ahead and determine what our other, obviously two angles are going to be. So what I can do is I can set up a relationship, obviously, to go through with this. So I can have A. So A would be 51. So since we have one ratio, I know I can apply the law of sines, right? That's the most important thing I need. If I can apply the law of sines, I need to make sure I have at least one ratio. So this would be A, which is 51.2 over the sine of 75 degrees. Okay? Now, there's one thing you guys have to be very careful with. When you're only given one angle, and it's acute, you have to be careful of an ambiguous case, which I'll talk about here in a second. So anyways, let's go ahead. Our other relationship is over B. So I have 33. I don't have anything for C, right? 33.7 over the sine of B. So now we're solving for our angle B. All right? And again, I'm not going to go through all the work. If you want me to show you all the work, I'll be more than happy to do this, but this video is going to take too long if I have to keep on showing you how to cross multiply and divide, right? So you go ahead and cross multiply them and solve for B. So therefore, you guys should get to this problem, or this solution, sine of B is equal to 33.7 times the sine of 75 degrees all over 51.2. Does everyone understand me at this point, right? Now we have a problem, though, because before it was pretty easy just to solve for a side. It's easy because you just take the sine of both yours and divide. But here I'm trying to solve for B, but it's the sine of B. So if you guys remember, what we talked about with this is when I have the sine of B, to find B, I need to take the inverse. So therefore, B equals sine inverse of 33.7 times the sine of 75 degrees all over 51.2. Now, when you're doing these problems, it is very important that you guys use the second answer function. And if you don't have a graphing calculator and you don't have a second answer function, please use almost all the decimal points you possibly can. All right? Because rounding is going to come into a factor. And if you round your answer before you get the final answer, you're going to get it rounded differently than the answer. So I'll tell you exactly how I'm going to type this into my calculator. I'm going to take 33.7 times the sine of 75. And then I just simply take that answer, the whole answer, and I don't even type it in. I just hit divide, which already takes the previous answer and takes the whole previous answer and divides it by 51.2. Therefore, it leaves me with 0.657753974. I need to take that whole answer. I don't want to round that to anything. Now I apply second inverse for sine. I'm sorry, not second. Yeah, second sine, which would be sine inverse, and then I just hit second answer, which is going to take the inverse of the whole answer, not the abbreviated answer, and I get 39.477. Since we're going to be rounding to the hundredths, B is going to equal 39 point. What was it again? 48. 48. Thank you. Okay. But now there's an issue that we have with this. Yes? What's wrong? Question? Okay. So there's a problem, though, that we have to be aware of, which I'll explain actually more into another case. But I'll show you guys why this one works. Let's go back to the unit circle. Okay? When you guys were looking at angles, let's look at the angle pi over 6. And then let's look at the angle at pi 1, pi 2, pi 3, pi 4, pi 5, pi over 6. What was the sine of this, Garrett? Do you remember the sine of this angle? Do you remember the coordinate point? So the sine was what? 1/2. Very good. And then this angle was negative square root of 3 over 2, comma 1/2. right? So do you guys notice that both these angles, the sine is the same, correct? Yes? Everybody agrees with that. The sine is the same. So what I want to bring to your attention is that if you have an angle, right, and our angle is 39.48. If I did 180 minus 39.48, that's going to be an angle right over here. So let's go ahead and figure that out. I don't want to do the math in my head. I'm sorry. 180 minus 39.48. That's 140.52, obviously. So anyways, my point I want to make to you is 140.52. Do you guys believe that the sine of those two angles is going to be the same? I know they're not on the unit circle, but if you were to find the sine of both of those, do you think they'd be the same? Are they the same for these two angles? Yes. Type in the sine of pi over 6, you get 1/2. Type in the sine of 5 pi over 6, you get 1/2, right? Type in the sine of 39.48. Sine 39.48. You get 0.6358. Type in the sine of 140.52. You get the exact same answer. So then which answer do you choose? Well, there's a problem, though. Because we know that 39.48 works, right? But can 140 work? Can I write in this angle as 140 degrees? And don't look at my triangle. Who cares what the triangle looks like? But is it possible to have two angles that one is 140 and one is 75? No, because then it's already over 360, okay? So we haven't gotten to an ambiguous case yet, but I'm kind of laying the foundation for it. When you are provided one angle that is acute, when you find that next angle, you got to make sure that that angle works, because if it's really small and the obtuse angle works, you have a possibility of two solutions. This is a case where we don't have two solutions. We're still going to have one solution. However, when you have an acute angle, always look to check if you might have two angles. And we'll obviously go through an example when you have two solutions, all right? But I just want to make sure you guys check that. So now we know that 39.48 works, and that's good. So now I can do 180 minus 39.48 minus 75, right? 65.52. Did everybody follow me saying that out loud? Do I need to write it down? I did 180. Oh, B is right there. Thank you. So anyways, I still did 180 minus 75 minus 39.48, and that gave me angle C, which is now 65.52. Is everybody cool with that? I don't need to write the equation. Maybe we got that from the first one. All right, so now I know what C is, right? So Garrett, before you lose your interest, the last thing I need to do is solve for C. So I know the sine of 65.2. So again, we do cross multiplication. And again, without me having to do all this work, I can easily tell you that C equals 33.7 times the sine of 65.2 divided by sine of B, which is now 39.48. Right? Because now we know what B is. So we go back to our calculadora, and I say 33.7 times the sine of 65.2 divided by the sine of 39.48, and that's going to be 48.12. OK? That's it.